that we've identified as areas for which we think we should focus on. One of these is the area that's highlighted in the letter, which is the diversity in our undergraduate population in particular. And something that I'll let Oscar speak more to than I'm familiar with is that even in our own UC system, there is a mechanism in place at UCLA for which we can have a private funding or private institution for which once students are admitted, we have a pathway for financial support. And that support can be in mentoring, it can be in the recruitment process in a way before they intend to go elsewhere. We lose an incredible number of talented students to Stanford and MIT, the Ivy League schools, and much of this is financially based. And so there's a lot of data that speaks to this. And so part of our recommendation, it's a draft report at this point, is that we need a fundraising campaign on the topic of diversity, excellence through diversity. We also recommended some simpler things, maybe a devoted issue, a forefront that speaks to all the great things that our students and underrepresented faculty are doing on the campus. I think that's part of a fundraising mechanism, but I think also it helps us embrace the culture in this college, because I think we have a poor public image. And that also really hurts us in the recruiting process. Once we're labeled as a hostile environment or a cool climate, it's going to make the recruiting process all that more difficult, no matter what funds we throw at it. So I think the time for change and action is very, very soon. And the same holds the graduate level. We do have minority fellowships and diversity fellowships on the campus, but they're just not financially competitive to what our peer institutions are able to offer. So I think on that same platform, there's a fundraising aspect to how do we put more funding and support behind this. And in that recruiting process, something that we've done in the past and I think we'd like to highlight is just make great use of the collaboration between our student groups in the recruiting process itself. The overnight visit that SWE does, highly successful. If we can extend this in a collaborative forum to our recruiting process in the coming year and going forward, I think again, part of this change has to come in the overall culture from the college and how we go forward. Same with faculty. And if we look at our departments, and each of the chairmen I know later in this meeting is going to talk about hiring. And part of the challenge in being a good role model to underrepresented students and women is having faculty representation. And I think we fall short on that. I mean, with exception maybe to a few departments that have a high proportion of women, we fall short on the women and we fall extremely short on the diversity of our minority faculty. I don't know what the mechanism is, but I know that EECS made use of targets of opportunity hires recently. And I don't know what that path involves, but I think we should look into that with a great amount of vengeance, because I think we need to do something.
So I'm going to tell all the department chairs. I think that if you do want to make use of this, the college will fight for you. And I think I've told each one of you this independently and separately, but I'd like to reiterate it, and I think ECS took advantage of it. And took advantage of it. They got 2 out of 3, but anyhow, that was a start.
The other piece that we put on as a pillar in this, and I'll close with this and hand this to Oscar, is that we all have an equity chair or diversity officer in our departments. Most students don't even know who that person is. They don't really know what the definition of that person is. And I think, again, with the exception of EECS, we don't really have a devoted, committed staff person. We have vice chairs of instruction, vice chairs of grad studies, and one thing that I had suggested to Dave last year is I think we need a vice chair or comparable position on that same topic of diversity, equity, inclusion. They can help in the campaign, they can help in the recruiting process. It's a place where students know to go home. Right now, most people who serve this function, myself included, Oscar included, it's just one of the many, many, many committee things that we do. So it's essentially overload work. And the other positions are warranted with staff support, a dedicated office, teaching release. And again, I know this is a funding issue as well, but I think if the college wants to stand behind this, then whoever takes on those roles takes it on with the commitment to do an excellent job. And that's going to be better done with support in those venues. And I know this is also presented independently on the student groups as well. So that was something that was highlighted in our draft report. And I know it's a complex problem, and I know that fundraising is a challenging task at the time, but I think this is an incredibly important issue. And Oscar, I'll let you fill in on that.
Okay, so I'll give you a few comments. Maybe I'll contextualize a little bit. I'm a from Los Angeles, went to UCLA. At UCLA, I was part of the minority engineering program in the 80s. I came here for grad school, so I know what it means to be a graduate student here in the 90s. And now I'm the honor of being a faculty member here. So I've seen various dynamic in this area, and I've tried to chime in and do my part. And so I want to just say that that's kind of how my angle or my perspective on this. First thing I'd like to say is I totally support the idea of funding. Funding is critical. We are at a point where we just can't do more. I think we've taken some important steps. And here I'd like to mention some of the issues that were raised in the letter that I would say I disagree with. I agree with the climate issue. I think there needs something to be done. It's just amongst I talk to my faculty colleagues. It's not easy to talk about diversity among faculty and really have an honest conversation about what is good about it and maybe what are the objections about it. We just haven't had that conversation, and I think our department chairs need to take leadership in that. So I think that's definitely significant. On the other hand, there have been some amazing things that have happened since CUES was eliminated. If you look at the statistics, and it's not reflected in what the letter says, the downward trend on admits was already taking place. If you look at what has happened since Prop 209, the numbers for admits have been basically the same, and it hasn't been changed. So from my standpoint, CUES wasn't doing a good job in recruiting. They weren't collecting data, and they weren't making sure that students were doing the best they could do here at the university. We need to split up between recruiting and retention, and really retaining at a level of high excellence, and not just at a level of good enough. And we haven't, the college needs to do a better job at being able to provide the resources to retain at a level of high excellence, because that's what will make a difference in how the minority communities are seen by other groups. So that's the fact. The fact is, CUES was not recruiting. If you look at the numbers, they've been going down since 2006, actually. One of the concerns is that, and I'm talking about mostly about undergraduate, one of the concerns for me is that the numbers for applicants is going up, but the level of admissions rate is either the same or slightly down. And I think that's where you have to start seeing that, how does that pool of applicants, how does that look, and what are we doing to admit more students? I think admission of a few more students, minority students, actually makes a big difference in trying to enhance the community here within the college. And I think that's something that, to me, that is really fundamentally one of the things that we need to look at. The numbers are going up, but the admissions rate is not. And what is the reason for that gap, and how can we address that gap? Graduate recruitment is a different story and requires some that I don't know enough about in terms of what are the factors, but I think we as faculty and as students, we need to work together. And I think you'll find that there are faculty members who will want to address this problem with equal commitment and passion as the student groups. And it's just a matter of communicating and making sure that we let together the leadership know that this is what we need. And it has to start with funding. I'd say that's what I would say right now.
I'd like to give some background. Anybody from student but maybe Alexis, Beatrice, would you like to?
Well, we have Gui here.
Sorry?
Gui's here.
Gui.
Say?
Gui's here.
Gui, the graduate women.
Oh, yeah.
And Wixie, Wixie.
But to be clear, I like ours to get 30 minutes because it's already 25 after and students just have started to talk. So I want the 30 minutes you stated in that letter, in that email, for our students to speak. Who's first?
Gui.
Okay, I'll go first. So I'm going to come up to the front of the room so you can all see me. You can all hear me. So I want to thank you guys all for your comments and debates. So it's nice to know that the College of Engineering, its leadership and its faculty realizes that they're a problem, that you realize that funding is a big issue. But you guys realized this back in 2009.
So I want to make this statement very clear. The current policies that the College of Engineering is pursuing, whether intentionally or unintentionally, is committing academic genocide against the African American students, against the Native American students, against the Latino students, against the Gesman, lay, transsexual, bisexual students in the College of Engineering. Your policies, whether you want to call the elimination of queues, your policies not to have a recruitment and retention plan in place, is causing these numbers to drop. It's not just a money issue. No one's going to give you money to recruit any of these students if you don't have a plan in place. So what I want to really, I really want to work with you guys on this, but I've seen in the past the policies that the college does. We have these meetings, you form committees, you produce reports, nothing actually gets implemented. Ms. Doyle, you wrote a report in 2009, but I quoted in here, that says the college is failing, that we need to do better. But what has happened? The Broad Participation Committee, Mr. Devon, you wrote your report last year saying that we need to reestablish a home base, whether you want to call it queues or what have you, but we need to establish a home base. Where's the home base? Does the committee not read the Broad Participation Committee reports? Do you not look at the data? I mean, I've spent the last week going around sneaking off campus to collect the data on the number of applicants, on the number of enrollments, on the number of admissions. Why does the college not publish that data? I know Cal Statistics actually exists. I've gone there, but it's very hard to tease out data on it. And I know you can go into the GLOW system and get this data. That's where I got my data from. But why doesn't the college actually publish this data? So I like the fact that you recognize that there's a problem and that you're willing to work with it. But I want to see actions on here. And that's why we gave you these list of 12 recommendations. I think they're pretty reasonable. There's an updated list I handed around to you guys. If not, ask for more. But it lays out the actual recommendations and specific timelines. The very first one is the college actually needs to come up with a plan. If you realize that the number of women and minority students are low, what is your plan to increase that? Are you going to increase that by 30%, 50%? I don't know. The very second thing is that you realize that their funding is not available. So let's start coming up with an actual financial plan to get donors to support this. I know we lobby for the Fund Institute. I have no idea how much money that costs. But if we can lobby to get more leadership in engineering, we can lobby private donors to focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion in the College of Engineering. Moreover, the third thing is the publication of this data. There's nothing stopping any of you right now from going into GLOW and publishing this data. I don't know. Moreover, there's already programs that exist right now that's serving as home base to some of the undergraduate student groups. Cal Nerds, that program is being demolished and eliminated this year. This program serves Berkeley Engineering undergraduate students that want to go into graduate studies to do research. This program serves African Americans. It serves gays, lesbian, gay, transsexual, and bisexual students. It serves Latinos that want to do research, that want to go into the college, that want to go on to pursue graduate studies. That is being eliminated right now. What is the college going to do to stop these bases from being eliminated right now? Moreover, there are other programs right now that are focusing on doing this. There is Berkeley Edge that's run by Colette Pat that's trying to get more students into the College of Engineering and focus on equity, diversity, and inclusion. What partnership is the college performing with that? There's also the Mitchell Kapoor Foundation that gives money to these programs that wants to support diversity, equity, and inclusion. Again, is the College of Engineering reaching out to that? So I'm glad you guys are saying these things, but I see no actions. I see statements being put out, and it really does bother me. And I used to be afraid of you guys at this table. All of you at this table, I used to be afraid of you guys. I used to think you guys were the Greek gods on Mount Olympus. I didn't say anything. I went along with these activities, and I said nothing. When Q's was eliminated in 2009, I didn't do it. We raised hell about that, but nothing got done. And it's our fault. And on that same note, when it comes to Q's, when you guys choose to have your secret meetings like this and make decisions without actually asking our input, but asking us after you make the decisions, it says that you don't give a damn about what we say. That's what it says. So we are here now. You asked for our help. We're giving you recommendations. We want you to work with us and not sit behind closed doors and act like the gods of Mount Olympus and issue decrees and expect us to follow that. You're not gods. You're not infallible. You're engineers. And what I want you guys to do is work with us to be engineers and actually solve the responding to diversity, equity, and inclusion has gotten worse since 2009. So we've got our recommendations right here. I really hope you look at them. There's two recommendations that we want to get implemented today. The very first one is that we want 2 rotating seats on the Broad Participation Committee that the Coalition of Underrepresented Engineering Students can actually vote on. We want to be a part of this. So give us those 2 seats today. We want you guys to actually give us a letters report right now that says that you in principle agree with these recommendations and that you're going to provide support to us. And in this letter, I want you to detail that support. Because at the end of the day, these policies, they're killing us. It is academic genocide. Whether you intended that or not, it is killing us. And I know you want to solve this problem, so let's solve it together. If funding's an issue, let's create a recruitment plan. Then let's go out to the donors. I got a big mouth. I'm more than willing to go out there and beat on doors, as I've been doing for the last week, to help get this money. Let's do this. And so the final notice is here is this. I do not want you guys to differ on this. I don't want any more reports. I don't want you to say you're sorry. I don't want you to say you apologize. I don't want any of that. I want you to work with us to solve the problem. Be very clear on this. If you guys continue to differ, if you guys continue to do a snow job, as that was done on Hughes, in terms of cherry-picking students to give data, I will personally bring the Occupy Cal movement to McLaughlin Hall, and I will shut it down. That is a personal promise from me. And you guys can call the police to come beat us and arrest us for not addressing the problems that you realize here. On that other note, too, I've been going around collecting documents about what the college has been saying on these issues here. If you do not work with us on this, I will slowly start releasing these documents. And I will ask the news media, well, I will continue to ask the news media to come here and ask you questions about this. I want to work with you guys, but I don't want to be bullshitted anymore. Let's just put it out there. I do not want to be bullshitted anymore on this issue. I don't want reports. I don't want new committees. I want to solve the problem. So I want you guys to work with us on this. So here are the recommendations right here. And I'm almost out of time, but if you guys want to blame anybody for this firestorm, you're looking at the guy right here. I've been collecting the data. I've been going around having secret meetings. I've been going around getting drop sites. I've been going around digging for this stuff.
I can't agree more with you. Look, I don't think you're creating a firestorm. I think that, you know, the numbers speak for themselves. So I don't know about in terms of getting members on the committee.
Can I make a comment about this? You know, Brian, I'm really surprised about the level of hyperbole that you're using. The fact is that there are things going on, but you haven't reached out. I am quoted for the report in your letter. Have you reached out to me and tell me, can you provide more data? Have you done that?
No, I have not done that. Have
Why?
you reached out to me and publicized your data? Then you have not done that either.
No, wait. The thing is, when you take data like that, that data needs to be processed properly. And in fact, I personally do not feel qualified to be processing the data the way it should be, those statistics. And in fact, it's irresponsible for me to do that. And until I feel that the data processing is vetted by someone who knows how to do that, it's irresponsible. And then, once that is done, it should be uploaded online, as it is.
This person that's supposed, so again, if the data that I have is wrong, if the
It's not that it's wrong.
that I have is wrong, then please correct me on it. If there's someone more qualified to process this data,
There are,
please,
yes.
well, who is that? And please
There are.
tell them to release
right.
this data.
That's right.
I'm asking you to release
You're
this
not
data.
asking. You're placing demands.
It was a recommendation that you release.
Right now,
the
you're
data.
placing demands that are stated in a manner that is not constructive and hard to go forward in. And I personally take offense at that. And there's lots of work that's been done through Engineering Student Services that's been bootstrapped despite the financial tightness that we're experiencing. And there is no acknowledgement of that. The fact is that there is our efforts going on. We're trying to work. We need to work with students. We need all the faculty to work. But this is not the way, this is not doing anything.
Answer this question. You say your stuff is going on.
Yeah.
Tell me, what's going on? How have you reached out? No, I'm asking
go
you.
ahead.
Have you reached out to us? I don't know. So this is his final comment, so I'm done. But are you reaching out? I haven't gotten an email from you. So I agree. There's
Why should I
got to be
reach out to, did you
Ryan L.
introduce yourself? Have
Shelby.com.
you introduced yourself to tell me I represent all of?
I never knew you even existed. I didn't even know you were on the Broad Participation Committee until a week ago.
Okay.
Thank you. So I'm one of the co-chairs of the Latino Association of Graduate Students in Engineering. Along with our desk, and we also have our corporate liaison here today. And I just wanted to voice the opinion of our student organization. I think that in speaking with different departments within the College of Engineering, there have been, as has been stated earlier, some departments which have been better organized and prepared to help us with the needs of our organizations. EAPS has been mentioned quite often, and I agree completely with the rest of the approach that's been taken with EAPS, that they have support staff available for broadening participation at the graduate student level, the undergraduate student level specifically. And our primary concerns are that, as Professor Career has mentioned, that currently that position within their departments, mechanical engineering, for example, is not taken to be at such a high level as it is in EAPS, for example. It seems sort of like it's more of an afterthought than something that can be done actively. And we have engaged with numerous departments on campus, and as I mentioned before, some have been more readily available to help. Others didn't have necessarily the time or knowledge of things or of information that we need to get things done. But Laxus is looking to cooperate with the faculty of various departments in the College of Engineering and begin this open dialogue about what we can do moving forward.
Just want to ask something else. I think everybody in this room, we all agree that this is a common issue. It's not going to take us going against you and you against us to solve this. The things have worked in the past, things are not working right now. As a clear testimony, I came here to a super program. Many of you know, if you don't know, it's a REU program. Currently in mechanical engineering, the program is dead. It's funding issues and we all have to deal with that. But the problem is these programs are in place to help recruit students from a wider pool of applicants instead of top 10, 25 schools. This is a program that actually helps bring our students, and I don't know how we can come up with the money. It's a common issue we have to work with, but it doesn't take long to just go and pull people like us who are willing to give a testimony, who are willing to talk to people, to bring this money, and to bring this program out. It might take a few hours of everybody's job, but it's a small step to go forward. At other schools like Georgia Tech, it has taken a top-level school-like approach to actually do this. Like, we can do this, or we can do even better. But we just need the vision, we need the time and the commitment to do this. And we need people like all of us who are concerned, like faculty, administrators, and us, who are willing to help. We are students here, so we're willing to help. This is not our job as much as we are committed to it. But we need some some support from the school. We need, like Professor Pruitt saying, we need a dedicated person who wants to work with us on this, not just like a 10% of your time at appointment, because we understand you guys are busy. You have administrative roles, you are teaching, you have a life to live. And to add to something else, it might be a burden. Find somebody who's committed to do this in your department, and we're willing to help you guys. And as a clarification, we want to work with you guys. It's not that we want to witch hunt and say, you did not do your job at recruiting. It's nobody's fault. These might be policies that were in place before you got here, and before we got here. So we just want to help, and please let us know how can we help, and let's actually make a plan that yields results, 5 years from now, like whatever long time it takes.
And also, can I say something,
Can I
please?
just make a comment?
Yes.
So thanks, Andres. This is a really good point. This is a really quick fix, because creating superb opportunities is something that's actually very easy to do, sort of completely within the framework of California law. Any of your faculty that have MSF funding can request supplements to provide undergraduate research experiences. And then if those are leveraged into the superb program, then we can provide these opportunities. And I think it's a really effective way to recruit, and at the same time, each
faculty member participating in this then has an edge in terms of ranking further in the SEP awards because they have a demonstrated track record of voting participation. So if you could please, I know this has been a soapbox issue of mine for a few years, but you know, if you could kind of convey this to the faculty, you know, it's a really easy fix. So thanks, and sorry for interrupting.
Yes, I was going to say that I came to Cal because I really believe in this university, and when I got admission, I got admitted to all the top schools, and they all gave me lots of money, and I turned all of them down because I wanted to come here, which gave me less money. But I knew that I had it within my power to go and get funding for myself when I came here. However, when I got here, I was really bothered and appalled by the lack of diversity that I saw in the College of Engineering. So I took it upon myself to actually do some research, like, you know, okay, this is the problem that we're facing. How can we solve it? And I went and looked at Carnegie Mellon and what they did to their computer science program that now has 40% of women. And it wasn't because they did affirmative action and none of that. What they actually did was change the admission criteria. Something that is so simple, that doesn't break any rules, that doesn't break any laws, helped to dilute the pool. And the quality of the school has not gone down. It's remained the same. I feel like Cal, we can at least do that. We can change some of our admission criteria. We could say, you know, highlight leadership. The way that we're admitting students now, we're only getting one kind of student. So even though when we even diversify it, you're still not getting all the different perspectives. You're getting one kind of thought. And that's not going to help us out. We have to get all the different perspectives. If we just change the admission criteria, tweak it a little bit, that itself will fix a multitude of these problems.
Ron, I agree with you. You know, we will act on your recommendation. I think some of yours are quite easy in terms of, I just want to check with the committee members about the idea of adding people from the two.
I actually wanted to comment. The first thing I did when I stepped into that role was we added Sabina Rossi to come in as a student rep, and then we recently added another
But there
student.
always were, at least one student rep was always.
And it's been actually a conversation
If folks
point.
would like to expand it, it's.
No, I'm just I'm clarifying here, but it's been a conversation point in the last two meetings that we actually wanted to invite some student representation onto this committee. So I'm more than happy to coordinate and figure out whether those are going to be representatives from the student groups, but I think I can speak on behalf of the committee based on prior conversation that we're moving in that direction anyway.
So that sounds like you follow up on in terms of expanding the student
And I'll work with
participation.
Stephanie and we can coordinate.
In terms of making a plan, I like that too. I promise, so Vanessa Dale, the Burning Participation Committee, you go to say March 2012. I like that deadline.
I like it too.
You know, I don't think there's much opposition to coming up with a plan and then sticking to it. I think in terms of the fundraising, you know, I'm on, just to, you know, UCLA, and then there's, at Berkeley we have BFOIT, Berkeley Foundation for Opportunities in IT, which has been an outside group that's tried to raise money. I talked to the UCLA dean, Vijay Deer. I think the challenge there has been to have these groups be not University of California groups to be in compliance with 209, and we should try to, there's certainly a very attractive, and Stiles Hall was mentioned as an exemplar of some of this. So I think that's a productive thing to do. I think we should certainly, so that also is the recommendation we should work on. So in terms of the department chairs, let me talk to them a little bit. I think Lisa's suggestion that every department have a lead person is certainly an excellent one.
That's also our suggestion too, but they need staff support and space. Can't do it by themselves.
I have a question.
So I know that we have a number of NSF-funded centers here who have funding for education and outreach. Has anybody tapped into those resources or inquired with those centers? Because they give multi-million-dollar grants.
I have trust, which is the one that I have, and I've expanded the REU program. I've gone to 12. So 12 trust superb, which is in addition to superb. So I'm actually sort of really amazed to hear that trust superb is, you know, it doesn't benefit is your sense on what's been happening with E3S and some of the other centers which have the resources in the education pool?
Yes, most of the centers have an education and outreach coordinator. I personally have been working with COINS and with E3S to coordinate and leverage outreach efforts and recruitment for grad students and for some of the undergraduate students that are coming.
Yeah, we had Kristen Gates and Trust, and she's just stepped down, so we have a target.
Correct, yes.
able to
I'm
hire
not
somebody.
sure what Trust has been doing in terms of outreach to minority representation for females. That part I'm not so certain.
I think we set ourselves some goals which we exceeded in Trust, so I also, to the sense of it is possible if you set your nose to the grindstone, so I think that.
But yes, that's a very good point. The research experiences for undergrad students is an excellent pipeline for us to be tapping on, so that more students we bring during the summer, the more we can bring them into our culture and engage them in research. So when the recruitment season comes and admissions come in, those students should be looked at closely because they be filtered and we know what they can do. So that's one of the best pipelines.
And I just want to make one more comment. We have resources right here. We can tap into Berkeley City College because coming from New York, I didn't know much about the California higher education system, but I realized that many of the high school students are encouraged to attend community colleges. But how many of them are accepted into Cal? How many of them are obtaining these research experiences while they're in community college to attract them to the different UCs and help them to be more knowledgeable about science and engineering? There's a difference between being a scientist and an engineer. But many of those community colleges, they don't have engineering programs. So we can just use the current system, which I think is failing on many different levels. We can use that system and recruit students from the community college system, which was, I think, the whole purpose of the higher education system. It's there. We have the College of Alameda. There's so many different community colleges that you can attract students. Looking at your classroom and saying, hey, I want this student to do research with me, the diversity is not at UC. We know that it's not here. So handpicking the students is not the solution. You know, selecting students outside of the university at the community college, they are there. And we just have to tap into them and have committed faculty that are PIs of these centers to actually commit to it. Not just, I'm going to write an attractive education and outreach program to get the funding and do nothing about it.
That's a great point. Approximately 1 out of every 4 Berkeley engineers is come from community college. At least that's the rule of thumb number. There are programs like the Transfer Alliance Project, and some of us have worked with them. I think that's a great idea and certainly something that will be even more important in the future with the current financial woes of the state. So I think that's a very good point.
David.
I wanted to add a little bit of a different tone into this. I wanted to begin with agreeing with Ryan that it's about action rather than meetings per se, and the extent to which we can begin to synergize a family of actions. Because the other piece here, I think, you know, overt bias is the thing that attracts attention, but the real pernicious is the background bias, and at the same time, overt action can appear to, but really what we need is to change the underlying processes, and I think I wanted to touch on just a few of the things that several of the working groups that the student groups are represented here have helped us in computer science in particular. We did go out and apply for a brand new superb NSF REU with Sheila driving that. 7 out of the 8 in the first year. Is that number right? For women. Berkeley Science Connection. And, well, and so we tied that in with both Coins and Trust. Berkeley Science Connection, I ran a program last summer with Ron Cohen. 19 out of 24 students, women. That's one piece of the pipeline, the graduate piece. CS10W and the CS Kickstart are really targeted at bringing the pipeline of people that are already here but not necessarily in engineering And CS Education Day, we did this for the first time last year. We already have 324 high school students signed up for December 6th and had to cut it off. We couldn't run any of those programs without the help of the student groups, but I think at the same time, it's not clear that we're really leveraging those across the conference. At the upper level, Dave Patterson led the charge when the Tapia conference was here. And what we did there was the day after the conference, we essentially put a program together like our grad student recruitment day, where it was one-on-one students with mostly minority faculty and grad students from other institutions, not a dog and pony show, but a one-on-one conversation about that mutual respect and direction setting and whatnot. So it's about the people to people. The last thing, in EECS, with Randy Katz driving, we invited Barbara Liskoff, who chaired the MIT Equity investigation, to come and talk. And the thing about her talk that made the most dent on me was to say, number one recommendation is this is the personal responsibility of every chair. This is not something that it's enough to delegate to any committee or any staff member. It has to be taken on as the personal responsibility of your chair.
Can I just say something real quick? So everyone is talking about how we're going to fix retention in the future, improve diversity in graduate school and all that, but I really want to go back to the list of recommendations and look at number 6 again. The reason I'm here is because I'm part of the Cal Nerds program, and basically everything that you guys are saying is what the Cal Nerds program already does. We have programs in Cal Nerds, UC Leads is there, LSAMP is there, CAMP is there. All of those are funded. WISE is there, Women in Science and Engineering is now under the Cal Nerds program. And basically the whole point of the Cal Nerds program is to do exactly what everyone in this room is saying. We promote.
Can you tell me a little bit about why is it, what's that? Why is it being?
So basically right now what's happening is the program is being threatened by the Dean of Social Sciences, Carla Hesse. I don't remember her name. I don't know her name. So basically what's going to happen is their plan is to take this space away from us and give some of it to humanities, some of it to the Townsend Center, which is next door to us, and the rest of it is supposed to be office space. And this is space that we use for diversity. Like a lot of our students are Latinos, they're Black, they're American Indians. Like all of those organizations are housed in that center. LGBT, OSTEM, the new OSTEM Student Association is housed in Stevens. They have their meetings there. All these resources are things that we already do in Cal Nerds, and our space is being threatened. And why I'm here is because I would love for you guys as the College of Engineering to kind of support us and work on this problem, because we house a lot of engineers. I've been here for 4 years. This is my 4th year. And in that time, so many engineers have gone through this program. Many of them are now graduate students at MIT, UCs, Carnegie Mellon, all these big name schools. Those are students who went through our program. And that is exactly why we're here at this meeting, is to promote students of diversity and color to go through and go to graduate school and do these things.
So the specific issue is that you're losing your space and you'd like to have an alternate.
Yeah, I thought that
Not an alternate home, the same one. I want to keep my space, yeah.
because
I'm
I'm
going to beat up Carla.
I'm involved in WISE, and I thought that there was alternative space in Barrows that had been allocated.
Yeah, but Barrels is like, they're offering us the basement of Barrels, and preferably we would not want to be moved. Like, we've been there for 40 years. Why would we?
I thought that actually it had gone up several stories in Barrows.
I don't know, maybe like a 34, I don't know, whatever. Either way, like, this
You really want to stay in.
This is a space that we've been in for 40 years. The space in Barrows is not big enough to house what we do at Cal Nerds. It just is not space that is going to help.
And speaking from Lax's point of view, we actually have many of our students come from the Nerds program, and we've been working with them consistently over the past 2 years to develop workshops for undergraduate students, helping them with graduate school applications, fellowship application processes. This is a program that is especially important to the Lax's community.
I've had 4 undergraduate student researchers, one of them's here right now, Cindy, that have gone through the Cal Nerds program. One of my other undergraduate student researchers, Maha Haji, she's went through the program. She's gone to MIT now. This is a program that works, that serves Berkeley undergraduate engineering students in their efforts to actually do cutting-edge research and get into these amazing schools. But that home base is too being eliminated.
And I want to say something on a different comment, though, not to change the subject. But one of the points that you made, that the chairs, is the chair's responsibility, is the chair's problem to address. One of the concerns, I know we've thrown out the term funding. There's been several cuts to the department. I'm in material science. We lost 2 to 3 staff members over the course of the last couple of years. So yes, it is the chair's responsibility to address. However, if we keep losing funding, it's very challenging for a department, even a small department like material science, to address the diversity issue when we're trying to survive, we're trying to stay afloat. So if we're going to do it, if it's going to be the chair's responsibility, then I think the College of Engineering needs to invest the money in the individual departments so that they can do it. That's why I said no, he didn't.
All right, so, that's it. Ryan, would you like us to write back telling you what we are doing on all these points?
The last thing is an actual letters, ideally signed by everybody, but I'll take the dean's signature. You don't have to sign it in blood. Or you can if you want. I'll take either. But a letter talking about each one of these recommendations and what you're going to do. You support them and exactly detail what are you going to do. And I'd like to know, when are we meeting with you next? When can we have a decision on the positions in the broader participation committee?
Why don't you make a recommendation to me as to who you'd like to have?
Right away. So
We got the coalition has to vote on it.
Your council.
Yes, the coalition has to vote on it.
Yeah.
If you read the letter, you'll see the coalition has to vote on it.
And that's what I'm asking.
So we're going to have to vote on this. So I don't know, but we can vote on it, give it to
You
you.
make a recommendation to us, and then we'll make action.
Kevin, let's do one more.
I just have a question to Ryan. So it seems like Cal Nerds as well. I'm a Cal Nerd student, by the way, and I love the T-shirt they gave me. I wear it to all the football games, and everybody asks me about Cal Nerds, and so I tell them about it. But I'd like to know, because of the budget constraints, if there's some consolidation here. Could some of your recommendations be fostered through Cal Nerds, or do you want an independent sort of structure within the College of Engineering? Is that your position, and you're not flexible?
So speaking to me personally, everyone else can chime in. The nurse program serves a large number of your undergraduate engineering students. Tonight, I'll get that data for you, or by tomorrow. I want the college to directly fund them. Now, should the program be housed in a College of Engineering building? I don't know just yet. I think the space that they have now works well. I think it should be maintained, but that's just my position on it.
The space that we have now is what we want to keep. We've been there for 40 years, and it's like our home. Like, honestly, Cal Nerds is like my home away from home, so.
But that wasn't my question. The question was some of the recommendations to me seem redundant, that is handled by Cal Nerds, so.
I agree, and I think that a lot of the recommendations are things that we already do through Cal Nerds. But right now, the problem is that Cal Nerds is not funded by the College of Engineering at all. We're supported through other means. So we have no tie to the College of Engineering, although we help a lot of the engineering students right now.
I think you can use Cal Nerds to do this.
That's what I want to do.
Many questions. I have students here who have worked in the program, and I've become very familiar with how the program works. The program is very well organized. It's like she's saying it serves a wide population of underrepresented students. And undergraduate level. And one thing we can use, like, let's just partner with them, let's work closer with them. And like you were saying, there are some things that we just can basically benefit from each other. Like, if we don't have like program for my undergrads in the university.
I think Kevin's idea is to leverage nerds.
Yeah, I think you get the critical mass with
They can do it.
It benefits both places, because if nerds has the support
Nerds
from the
established,
COE,
so they might as well.
I mean, the COE is like behind them for keeping their space. I don't think it's a matter who has been there before, like, it's who can make better use of the facilities. If we can come up with a plan and tell them, like, this space better serves this many students by doing this and that with a proven track, I mean, how are they going to argue with that?
Okay, so I owe you a response back, and then we'll have a separate meeting with you. Maybe it's
Well, with everybody, ideally.
Can I also say along those lines, so CalNERD's undergrad, grad student programs, or like our groups, we have a hard time finding places to meet. Sometimes we want to have interdepartmental social events, and then the College of Engineering says we have to pay $200 to rent the space, etc. It would be fantastic if we could work out some sort of alternative deal where when we want to have social events, we don't have to pay for it.
All right, there's
Or if
your
we
man.
had space where we could
We're
meet together.
glad to do that. Okay, Scott Shackleton's your man, and we'll work out a, I agree with you, okay. The easy ones we'll absolutely do, and I think that as you, and I know exactly what you're just saying, it's a nuisance to cough up. We make sure it's only, okay. Okay, so I owe you a response to this letter, and then we'll have, we'll try to have another meeting with the department chairs, hopefully before the end of the semester, and then we'll look at your deadlines, we'll make your deadlines.
Send us an
So
email,
I
we'll
just
come
want to
vote.
reiterate, CalNERDs, there's already
What is the deadline?
there's already a timeline in place. They want to move into our space next fall, which means that we kind of need to do something about it now, which is why.
So the first step is for me to talk to Carla, is that the first?
Basically.
Yeah. Okay, so that also is to be scheduled, so let me find out what the lay of the land is with her, and then take, so can you write to me, and then you'll be your point of contact to talk about nursing.
Let me just say something. I mean, we just want to say thank you for listening to us, but what we have is a perception issue. Because I spoke to other students that will probably be getting accepted at Berkeley who choose not to come here and go to other places, and ask them, why did you make that decision? It's not just money, but they said they had this perception that they were not welcome. So it's actually just like a false perception. So if the committee or somebody says, we support equity and diversity, and actually just put the message out there, it will slowly start changing the perception that actually you're welcome here. So you can feel confident in making your decision to attend Berkeley. You won't suffer here, you'll thrive.
By the way, I don't know if any of you knew about the TED conference that she ran.
It's me!
Anybody know about,
The TEDx conference?
I don't know if you folks know about TED, Technology and Entertainment Design. I thought it was the event in Southern California, which was all Hollywood, and then suddenly she came through, she was running one out here.
And Professor Collard played for us.
The impetus to do that arises when you have the atmosphere that you're talking about. There's no question. But by the way, on terms of the rental on the student space, I think Scott's only request is that people clean up the space after they use it.
Well, but further, our student groups have nowhere to meet. We don't
No,
have
but
space.
is it about charging? He charges money to have a clean up crew.
Yes, sure. That's
If he
understandable.
self-police
But
it,
some
I
of them
think
are
that'd be
literally
fine.
just things, not even like a part of your food, something like that, something smaller. We don't have space. We're not being supported by our departments. So we're forced to go outside of the departments just to get funding, and then we can't turn around and pay for other things.
Just one final comment about the funding issue.
I just want to say that the reason why the committee is so strong about the funding is because there has been one thing that was done last spring is a survey about why students were called individually to find out, why didn't you come, I think, right? And the outcome was, for the most part, funding. And that's why we are adhering to funding as an important pillar for moving forward. Just one thing.
Does anybody know our yield on Superb? Because Superb, that's part of, all the Superb students I've had about 6 or 7. Maybe only one or two have come to Cal.
I think.
The yield for graduate school is over 80%. The yield for coming to Cal is much lower because of our risk-averse admissions committee. Sometimes they don't get in, and then they get into other schools with NSF. So, there's a little noise in the admissions. But we have a faculty member who came to us from Superb, Michelle Maharby's.
Okay. Fiona, so thank you all very much. I think Fiona asked me to mention, we're trying to fix the library to have these 7 or 8 meeting rooms. But this is not to say we can't fix the program. So thank you all very much. We owe you email, and then I think on this student participation, I think Lisa and Oscar are on board with that. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. For the rest of the meeting.
Oh, thank you guys.
Thank you guys.